Hey there, All Things MSP crew. Welcome back to another Can You MSP It? This is the series of interviews. I call them interviews. It's really a game show to talk to the PitchIT contestants who are in the PitchIT 2025 competition and give them a little bit of a, curveball to this whole interview process. But we just want to make it fun. We want to make it exciting. And it's going to be a little competitive because we're going to keep track of points that totally don't matter. But that's okay because they do have a reason for being there. And I'll reveal that towards the end. All right. And today with me, I have Rayanne from ABC Solutions and Kip from GetInSync. Now, you guys have done some interviews like this before. Not like this, but you've done interviews for PitchIT 2025 before. How has your guys' experience been so far? And I'll go ahead and start with Rayanne.
The entire PitchIT experience has been a lot of fun and so informative. Like there's just, the education has been top notch, and the interviews or the podcasts or the conversations that we're having with all of the different vendors, just been a lot of fun.
And Kip?
Yeah, I'd agree. It's very helpful. A lot of good stuff we're hearing in all the sessions every week, the workshops, just hearing other founders and folks talking about what they're doing. So I've been very impressed. Wasn't as heavily involved last year until the very end, so it's been fun to be a part of the whole thing this year. Got to give some of your time, of course, but it's worth it.
Now, I know that we're going to be talking more about your solutions as we go through the game show today. So before we get started, I am interested in finding out more about the two of you. Now, Rayanne, you and I know each other from years of being in the MSP channel. But for those ATMSP members who don't maybe know who you are, just tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I'm the owner of ABC Solutions, and technically we are an accounting firm, but we specialize in working with MSPs like all across North America. And over the years, I started out in IT myself. Back in the early 2000s, SBS sold itself, and then I started the SBS user group in the Tampa Bay area, and I started helping our members connect their PSA to their accounting system, and that's when the light bulb went off. So sold off my local tax practice, and I started focusing on the MSP space and exclusively over the years. And every time somebody would come up with they had a challenge or a problem, I would work through it and I would build a solution, and then I would roll out that solution with all of the documentation. And so it's kind of evolved over time. And so that's what we're doing. In this year, we're rolling out a brand new service, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes.
Awesome. Now, Kip, how did you get into this MSP world?
Yeah, so I actually had 25 years in Procter & Gamble in the IT side. And a couple of things really spoke to me during that time was, how do we make sure IT is relevant and strategic with the business? That was something that we were always working on. And then I had these suppliers and vendors that were very much commodity, not showing up like I wanted them to show up. So there's a little bit of my angle. I ran into Stuart Holpe years ago, principal founder of GetInSync, and he was doing something with this platform, which I loved, which is what we'll talk about a little bit today. So all about helping business understand IT showing up strategically. And so that's a little bit of my context.
All right. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started with our first question. So I call it the one-line pitch. It's really more like a 1 to 2 minute pitch. It's evolved over the time, and I probably should change this slide because nobody can really do it in 1 line or 15 seconds. Plus, it just doesn't make it as interesting. What makes it interesting, though, is that you cannot use certain buzzwords. Now, I have randomly chosen who gets to go first for each question so that, we kind of mix it up a little bit. And let's see who got chosen for this one. So, Rayanne, it's you. And your 5 words are profitability, automation, standardization, fractional CFO, and tailored solutions. Now, I did take these directly from your website, so to make it a little more challenging, I would say.
Okay. Challenge accepted. At ABC Solutions, we simplify the customer quoting to cash process to protect your margins, control your costs, and save you time all the way from customer quote to purchasing to invoicing.
Wow. I mean, you just didn't use any of those words, and
None of them.
you have obviously practiced that a bit.
But she didn't know the words. That was very impressive.
I didn't know the words, right?
Right.
So when you said, "Oh, they are coming straight from the website," I was like, "Okay, okay." So, but I got it.
Well, and that's the key to this part of the game is you're not being able to use words that are probably the preeminent words on your website. All right. And Kip, your words are alignment, convergence, fractional CIO, strategy execution management. That's a tough one. I don't know why I used a 3-word one in there. And then, I'd love to be able to read this, but my StreamYard controls are in the way. Business IT convergence. So basically steer away from convergence as a word there, Kip.
There you go. I will work on that. All right. Well, GetInSync is your strategic platform to grow smarter. Gives you one clear view of your client's applications, services, risk, owners, priorities, so you can guide better decisions and work with IT to make it effective with the business and prove your value every step of the way. Helps you to productize your advisory services, command premium retainers, and turn those one-off projects into long-term, high-impact relationships. Stop selling hours, start selling insights.
All right. I think both of you managed to do that extremely well.
I was slipped up there. I was close with alignment. Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell. I think effective is maybe the word you substituted there.
I don't know, but I thought I was about to say one. I'd be, booted off here. So,
well, we don't boot people off. We just give them less points. Now, for that round, I think what I'm going to do is because both of them were very good, right? Both of them were very good. I think what I'll do is I'll give Rayanne 90 points for that one. And Kip, I'll give you 100 points simply for going longer.
Wow. I could have got 150 if I would have just rambled even more than you're saying.
No, because then it would have not fit in the spirit of brevity.
There you go.
You were still brief enough for it to be within the boundaries.
Okay.
But I think it just gave you that little extra edge. Okay, so next up is the MSP scenario. And this is a common MSP client issue or, situation that your solution helps with. So Kip, this would be for you in our completely random way of choosing who goes next. Kip, tell us about a time when an MSP faced misalignment between their IT roadmap and a client's business goals. How did GetInSync's platform help them not just align, but fully converge IT and business priorities?
Excellent question, Eric. One of the things that we really focus on in GetInSync is that understanding of that business strategy and the business drivers, the business outcomes. A lot of IT organizations are doing things, they don't have that connection. So within GetInSync, we've got these programs with business drivers. You click on that, you should be able to see your ideas. You should see the projects, the applications that associate with that particular initiative. Everything in GetInSync ultimately kind of drives up to these business initiatives with business value. So we talk business value, we talk business initiatives, we talk business drivers. That's what GetInSync is really formulated around. So that is something that people are using as a big plus within GetInSync. All
right. Great answer. So, Rayanne, your PitchIT 2025 kind of thing that you're pushing in that is your procurement type of help for the MSP. And this is something where traditionally MSPs have struggled working with their vendors. So I imagine it has a lot to do with that, because procurement touches on how people have to deal with vendors. It has a lot to do with profitability. How does procurement and specifically ABC Solutions help the MSP with those issues?
I love that question. Okay, so one of the things that we've seen over time is how much the MSP struggles with the quoting process. I have seen MSP after MSP lose good projects simply because they didn't get the quote out or they didn't get it out in time. And sometimes when they do get it out, it's not priced properly for profits, right? So I worked together with my procurement team to see, like, how can we do this? How can we solve this problem? So we've developed a process where we pull the opportunity out of the PSA, and then we go out, we configure and price the products, prepare the quote with the MSP's logo, the MSP's contact information. The customer never knows it's not coming from them. But before we send it out to the customer, we send it back to the MSP. Hey, take a look. Is this everything that you wanted to say? Are all of the prices aligned? And we're showing them what the margins are. Anyway, they approve. We send it out to the customer. The customer approves it. We get it back. We push the completed opportunity back into the PSA, log into the PSA, win the opportunity, invoice the customer, purchase the products. All of this at no cost to the MSP because we're charging a vendor fee to the customer right on the quote.
And that makes a lot of sense to me because all of that process, because that was a long process that you described, right? And so just the time savings for the MSP, I believe, is huge. But there's a component here that, since a lot of MSPs are not, and I hate to use this word because we overuse this word in the industry too much, they're not mature sellers, okay? Because it's not their primary motivation. It's not what they went to school for. It's not what they trained for. Selling is just not what they do by nature. But when you're in the selling realm, you know that time kills all deals. And so especially speeding up that quotation process, I could easily see that improving the chances of an MSP closing a deal.
Well, I wonder if it's also possible that they choose not to sell the products because the quoting process is so painful and time consuming, right? So if we take that piece away, if we take that headache, that time consuming, like, holy smoke, I am buried under a pile of purchase orders here, right? If we take that away and do that for them, and we're also going to identify the information so that accounting knows how to code the purchases so that we know that you have to keep track of those margins, and we know that you have to track the purchase orders and make sure that they come in and follow up with the vendors and do the deal reg and all of those things. And so we are taking that piece off, and we really didn't want to charge for our time to the MSP. And that's why we're going with a percentage of the overall quote.
And I think that does make it simpler for the MSP, which again is a benefit to them. And side question to that, because you did mention it, was deal reg. So are you handling the deal registration for them then with those vendors that support it?
We are.
That's awesome. All right. Let's go on to probably my favorite part of the show, where I get to be the grumpy MSP. So basically, I'm going to ask you a tough and slightly exaggerated, I'm not going to lie, objection from a character, me, playing the skeptical MSP. All right. So, Rayanne, you're the first one to answer the question from our grumpy MSP.
Me.
And I'm really good at this one, but no, Amy would say that I'm really good at being the grumpy MSP. But anyway, so I think if I'm going back to my MSP days and I'm thinking about this, we used to just quote straight out of our PSA, and it didn't seem like it was that hard. So why do I need all of this extra stuff in order to do something that I feel like I'm already doing?
Fair question. And thank you for that. Okay. So, and sometimes I hear this from MSPs. Oh, it takes me 5 minutes to send a quote out from the PSA. And my challenge to you is really time it next time from starting the opportunity, and going through all of the motions and then getting to the quote and then preparing the quote, getting the pricing, the updated pricing from your vendors, getting that onto the quote, making sure it's correct, send it out, get it back, answer questions from the customer, and then send out the new quote and then get it back approved, then order. Then prepare the purchase order for accounting and make sure that it has all of the things, from the different vendors that you're buying all of these things from, and then send it off to accounting and ensure that it's handled properly. I promise it takes more than 5 minutes to do these things. And wouldn't your time be better spent making money than chasing a couple of dollars and researching pricing?
Yeah. And I think, part of that is something that a lot of MSPs miss, because it's really part of more like a VAR motion, and that's the deal registration piece. And that can become critical if you're actually competing against other MSPs, which doesn't or didn't happen as much when I was an MSP. But nowadays, it seems like there's more competition amongst MSPs for these deals. So getting that deal reg in quickly can really help the situation.
Plus, we have relationships with a lot of the vendors already. So when we are doing that deal reg, we already have a contact there so that we can say, here, we've got this deal that we need to register, and truth be told, I'm not the deal reg person, so I don't even know what all of the steps are, but they've got it down, and I trust them with that. They handle the deal reg, and they make sure that everything goes through, and they follow up with the vendor, for estimated delivery times and so on and so forth. So service delivery can schedule the work.
Awesome. All right, Kip, and your version of this question is, why should I pay extra for this convergence mumbo jumbo? Back in my day, MSPs just fixed computers, not held endless meetings about convergence. What thing about Bob does this actually do?
All right. And sorry for your tough day there, but ultimately, MSPs are not going to win on tools in the future. They're not going to win on what we've been doing up to this point. The number of vendors, the number of tools, that's going to be out of control. Your clients, they're going to need someone helping them understand what they have. And you already on a great start. You've got a head start, but you ultimately need to kind of be building additional capabilities, skills, and GetInSync as a platform to enable that. So you might have a VCIO service, maybe, but let's turn it into truly a VCIO service. And again, I think a lot of MSPs will become more commodity and really be impacted by this tool. It's out of control when you think about everything going on in AI. So it's time to think about value-added services. Build upon the great platform that you have, leverage GetInSync to help you get there, and now you're going to be sustaining revenue, building new efforts and new opportunities for you. So that's why it's time to get ahead of what's coming. It's going to keep coming. And we're here to help you and really help you be that. We like to think of it, you're the tech Sherpa, helping your clients really get where they need to get.
Yeah, it's that convergence of technology and business solutions that is, I think, in my opinion, the future of MSP. It's creating solutions for your client based on technology, not just taking care of the technology that they already have.
Yeah, Eric, one of the things we have within GetInSync is a big focus on business capabilities. So let's look at the business capabilities required for this company. And how do your applications and services map to that? I mean, that's a very powerful conversation versus I got a lot of stuff. Okay, how does that fit to anything we're trying to do here in this area of the company? So making that connection to what they need, not what they want, which a lot of folks are just giving orders and they're giving them stuff that they want. No, the MSPs that are going to do well are the ones that are going to say, I don't think you need that. Let's look at your capabilities. Here's something that we can help you with. That's going to be the differentiator.
Awesome. Now, we did forget to hand out points for the last question, so we're going to have to kind of do a roll up here. And I think the way, if my math is correct here, my highly scientific math, by the way, I think that Rayanne has pulled ahead just a little bit at 250 points to 225. So still a very close race, and we have a couple of questions to go.
I see that scoring exactly where I was too. Yeah.
All right. So, tech stack showdown. Now, obviously, this question was originally intended to be about their tech stack. But again, like everything else, I've had to, adjust a little bit. I've had to evolve like everybody else. And it really has more to do with not just their tech stack, but also their processes. And I think both of your solutions really speak to the process side of this. And so I think what I'm going to be looking for here is kind of how much it actually helps in terms of efficiencies and growth for the MSP. Now, let's see who goes first. Rayanne, it's you. All right, Rayanne, we're talking about, this solution, which kind of soup to nuts takes care of the whole quoting and procurement process for an MSP, which has a lot of places in it that I can imagine invisibly take a lot of time, especially when things go wrong. So what do you think is the one piece in that we've talked about already that could save the MSP the most amount of time?
The most amount of time. Okay. So a lot of MSPs, at least the ones that I've spoken to, they have their techs doing the configuring and the pricing and then the quoting, right? So customer sends in a ticket, hey, need 3 new computers. Can you make that happen? Whoever is the lucky guy that gets the ticket does all of those things. Now, those things take time, especially if this is not the person's primary focus in life. So, but I'm going to say that the hour and a half, and I'm just going to use that, the hour and a half it might take this person to build the opportunity, price out the items, prepare the quotes, get it sent out, do the follow-up, so on and so forth. Let's give it 90 minutes, all told. Then if that person could instead use that time for service delivery, now the company is making money as opposed to paying this person's salary off of the margin that they should be getting on those products. So that's probably the largest gain, both in time and money, is to remove that administrative piece from the techs and allow them to go back to their job in service delivery.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, because it's not just the added cost of what can be an expensive person doing that administrative work, but it's also the opportunity cost of them not doing the tech work that they should be doing. So I think that's actually a double, add on there, because you're not just saving the profitability, but you're also using that somewhere else where they could be making money. Now, in a larger MSP, that might be more the role of a solutions engineer. But of course, most MSPs are not going to have that individualized role in their MSP. So I think that's a great answer to that question.
And I hope I get a lot of points.
We will see. We will see. Okay. The AI is calculating behind the scenes right now. All right. Now, Kip, your platform emphasizes fractional CIO services. How does GetInSync integrate with existing PSA or monitoring tools, and what's required from MSPs to make it a seamless part of their current workflows?
Good question. So we want to start with really thinking about GetInSync sitting kind of on top of kind of your existing stack. It's not going to replace anything. It's really, while your existing tools, your PSA RMM is going to tell you what's happening. GetInSync is going to help you understand why it matters, right? And so our approach so far is pretty disciplined. We're making sure that the core product itself is going to deliver value on its own first, and then the architecture is ready. And so we're actually in the process of continuing to understand where is the meaningful integrations. What elements of the RMM would be helpful. Again, a lot of our focus, it's not going to be in PSA or RMM when you think about business capabilities and some of the other integrations. So we're looking to make the product sticky right now, gather those proof points, and then accelerate those integrations as we continue to kind of scale up. But we don't want to make it more complex. So that's kind of where we are right now on that.
Awesome. So it brings kind of the why back into the conversation from the data that they're getting from their PSA and their RMM.
Yeah, because again, many times it's a black box within that company, within that organization. And so we have to help them understand why we have these applications, and we have 6 of them doing the same process. Why is that? Well, let's look at that together. Why do we have so many licenses? Well, let's talk through that. So really giving that business conversation, that strategic conversation on top of what might be happening day to day. So it's really going to kind of bring that holistic view of some of what those other tools are sharing. But we're going to continue to kind of understand where does those integrations best fit.
Awesome. All right. Well, I am consulting the AI, and the AI, I don't know,
It's acting up.
I don't know how it did this. It has left us at an exact tie of 500 points apiece.
Wow.
It seems to happen a lot with this last question. I don't know what it is.
You might want to check those algorithms, just maybe, anyway. Some maintenance, maybe it needs a patch.
Maybe.
Security
patch management
patch.
for AI. That sounds scary. Okay, so that does mean that we have to come to our bonus round, which this one is the one that I think our previous contestants have had the most fun with. So take it in any direction you feel comfortable with, by the way. Some have kind of taken this to the extreme, which has been funny. And some of them have taken it to just the kind of the intention of explaining it simply so that everybody can understand the major benefit of what you're doing. Okay, so Rayanne, you went first last time, so we will let Kip go first this time. Explain your solution to me like I'm 5.
All right, little Eric. It's good to see you today. Looks like you're having fun. You're wondering what I'm working on? Let me explain it this way. GetInSync is like a magic map, for all the toys and games that you have. It shows you what toys that you have, where they're kept, which toys are broken, which ones are ready to play with. So instead of digging around in your messy bins or having to go talk to anyone else, your parents, about what's going on, where the things are, you've got this magic map. And it helps you understand everything that's going on with your toys and your games. It helps you keep things organized. And Eric, playtime's a lot more fun then.
Very good. And I do want to say, I want to take a second here before we get to Rayanne, just to say that I am forcing them to do this. They are not talking down to MSPs because they think they need to talk down to MSPs, because they absolutely don't. I am forcing them to do this for my benefit, not because this is the way we feel about MSPs.
That's a good little statement there, yes.
So Rayanne, you're up next.
Okay. So once upon a time, there were a lot of grown-ups who needed computers and cool tech things for their work. But buying all those computers was really tricky. There were so many choices and so many papers to fill out, and it took a really long time. Then one day, a helper came along. Their name was ABC, so it was super easy to remember. The helper was very smart and very kind, and the helper said, "Don't you worry. I will make it easy for you to get all the computers and cool tech stuff that you need, and you'll save money too." So the helper took care of finding all of the best computers, ordering them, and making sure everything was paid for the right way. And the grown-ups were so happy because they didn't have to do all that boring paperwork anymore. They could spend more time doing fun things and important work instead, and everyone lived happily ever after with shiny new computers that worked just right.
That is awesome. And I think both of them were just absolutely phenomenal, to the point where, I'm just going to override the AI and say that this actually ended in a tie this time. Because those two
Yay.
were absolutely fantastic.
I like that she had the ABC little angle there, which I thought was very, nice.
The AI may have given her extra credit for that, but that's okay because I am the final say on this show. All right. So before we close out, Kip, if people want to find out more about GetInSync, how do they do that?
Yeah, so Stuart started everything up in Canada, so our website is GetInSync.ca, and they'll reach out to me directly at kip@GetInSync.ca. That'd be the best thing to do. So thanks, Eric.
Awesome. And Rayanne, how about ABC Solutions?
You can find us on the web at ABC Solutions FL, just like Florida, because that's where we are, .com, abcsolutionsfl.com. For our procurement services, we're rolling out a new sister website. It's going to be and it's almost complete, abcsolvesit.com.
Awesome. Love the name. Okay. Thank you both so much for being here and participating in my little craziness here. I wish you both the best of luck in the PitchIT 2025 competition, and I hope to see you both at IT Nation.